Hey guys, what's going on? BMcG here, and today I've been doing some Battlegrounds. I think the beta is about to come to a close. If I go here, click this, I think that's the daily thing, but I'm pretty sure it's going to end in 12 hours. Might be wrong, might be one more day, but throughout this beta I've been pretty successful. Granted, it's a beta. I should take it with a grain of salt. But I wanted to make a quick video about who my MVPs were, who my letdowns were, and who some surprise characters were. So I'll probably edit in my deck, like a full picture of my deck, so you guys can see when I'm talking right now. Just so you guys can get like a good little picture, because when I pull this up, well, I could show this. This is fine. So this is my current deck right now. The rank 4s span from Sorcerer to Overseer. Rank 3s are the only other champs I use. I don't use any rank 2s or 565 characters. I think health pools are too valuable in the safeguard meta, and I don't want to waste any spots on my team for 565 characters. The only 565s I would recommend is like a Magneto, because you normally want to use special 3s with him, and if you want to use a character that needs special 3s, which you normally don't want to do in Battlegrounds because it takes too much time, but if you do, you want the 565 for the increased combat power rate. And someone like Magneto is so strong that if you're using a 5-star rank 5 or a 6-star rank 3, you probably won't tell the difference in this size health pool. Granted, you have enough prowess. But he's actually not on my deck. Neither is White Magneto. Both could be solid because they reduce ability accuracy, and well, it's against metal characters. And when they do that, that means they could bypass safeguard. So I want to start explaining some of my picks on my team, because some of them might be questionable, some of them are pretty obvious, but I want to start with my MVPs. And before I start, I'm just going to give you guys a standard disclaimer. This is all my opinion based off my own experience. If you guys don't agree, well, I'm only using the characters in my deck, so yeah, it would make sense that we have different opinions on different experiences. But yeah, just want to throw this in there because I know some people are going to comment, question things, so yeah. And my number one MVP is probably Overseer, just because he gets banned so much. It's a weird thing to say, but them banning Overseer so they don't have to fight him or allow me to fight with him means some of my other valuable options aren't getting banned as well. One character I found that also gets banned a lot is Kingpin, but back to Overseer, since he's probably my number one MVP. He is an amazing defender for safeguard, and his secondary damage bypasses safeguard, his burst damage. So if you feel like using him on attack, which I highly recommend if you're going against an annoying Mystic, if you're fighting I-Bomb, just random matchups like that. If your Overseer's awakened, you'll ramp up faster and you'll get max burst damage. But yeah, he's been amazing. He's definitely awesome when I do get to use him, but he does get banned a lot. Which, it's one of the downsides to using or having a rank 4 Overseer, is that people say, hey, he looks like he's rank 4, maybe I should ban him because I don't want to fight him, which is totally fair, because when you fight against him, especially against safeguard, if you're not using a proper counter, you have to wait out his auto block after his special, which is very annoying. He's stun immune after specials, which is also very annoying, so you're not really going to be able to get many hits in. I think it's like an 8-second auto block passive / stun immunity that you have to wait out. And then if he uses a special 1, he will have a regen buff, and that regen buff gets stronger with the less health he has. So he's just an all-around really strong champ for this mode. He's one of the best two-way characters you can have for this mode, in my opinion, for both the safeguard meta and the power snack meta. The power snack meta was something that we went against in the content creator program's Battlegrounds beta. I believe we had videos and streams on that. Can't remember. I'm pretty sure we made videos on it. But for masochism, Overseer's he's just Overseer for that. I mean, like he's fine. Like he doesn't have any cool tricks, but like power snack would be a really solid one for them. If they're going the route of stuff like safeguard, masochism, power snack, I'm sure they'd go buffet, and that's another thing Overseer counters. So he's definitely going to be pretty valuable in my opinion for this, especially as a two-way character, because it forces the opponent to draft someone that will counter him. They would need someone like Man-Thing. not Man Thing, Mole Man, who has true accuracy, someone with true strike, and then especially if it's safeguard, you need someone with secondary damage like bleed. I think I saw someone beat my Overseer with Black Widow Deadly Origins. So yeah, he pretty much is a really solid character. You use him to counter other options, and it forces them to draft a counter for him. My next MVP is I-Bomb. This dude's freaking nuts. I think he's going to be amazing for plenty of the metas that there are. He is another one of those two-way characters like Overseer that you can use him amazingly on attack to counter so many characters, and he forces them to draft a counter for him if they want to counter him effectively. I think he will be absolutely necessary to have for a deck, and I think he'll work for almost any deck. So my top two characters right now for this are Overseer and I-Bomb. Next up, this might be a surprise, but I think Man-Thing is also ridiculously strong for this mode. Man-Thing's he has a lot of poison damage, and it's normally not like insane. There's better poison champs out there like Diablo, but Man-Thing's also another one of those two-way characters that forces opponents to draft for him. So in this matchup, they threw down Arcus, and hey, Man-Thing's a great two-way. I made sure Arcus never got to a special 3 because Man-Thing has a chance to nullify on contact as well as a guaranteed nullify on a special 2. So he's definitely really good for this mode. I run 5 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion like all the time. I almost never not running it, and he benefits from it a ton, especially on defense. He's definitely awesome. So here's a scenario of Man-Thing being a great two-way. I didn't have an opportunity to use him on attack, so I threw him on defense, and this guy timed out against him. So here's Man-Thing being used on attack. I use him against Terrax. Man-Thing's armor break immune, so I don't have to worry about Terrax stacking armor breaks on me. I also threw Hulkbuster on defense to counter this Mole Man. Mole Man did a decent job here, but took twice as long as my Man-Thing. Man-Thing's just really good. So one of my other MVPs for this mode, it's probably going to be a bit, controversial because his use cases are so limited on attack, but he's a great defender. I'd like to say Arcus. This dude is really good. There are a decent amount of robots that are prevalent in this mode. There's Nebula, there is Nimrod, there is Warlock, and you can armor shatter them with your special 2, and that will completely shut down their ability accuracy and their power gain. No combat power gain, no power gain at all. Shuts down their abilities, so you can completely ignore Safeguard with Arcus. He's one of those characters who I think is amazing two-way character. If you guys haven't caught on, my MVPs have been two-way characters that force them to draft a counter, and characters that I can use to counter their options. I think two-way characters are the most valuable champs for this game mode in general. But for the Safeguard meta, I think Arcus is really good. He also has the secondary damage in terms of Cold Snap, which isn't insane. But one downside to Arcus is that if you are stuck too long baiting special attacks, you will throw your special 3. And you'll be pushed your special 3 because he has tons of power gain. And special 3s are not your best friend in this mode, in my opinion, because they take like 15 to 20 seconds to go through. And it's actually quite annoying if that costs you the match because time is so valuable for this mode. But Arcus, if you can get a special 2 off, he's pretty nuts. So he's definitely a good one. So I think he's like my number 4 MVP. Number 5, I gotta say Warlock. This dude's another great two-way character. Forces a counter, and he also counters so many characters. If almost everyone is running willpower, especially in the Safeguard meta, because if you're using characters with non-damaging debuffs, it's just going to be a constant heal, and that will make your matches longer, therefore costing you points. But Warlock turns that regen into degen, and he also power controls. So like if someone places a bishop, my go-to is Warlock because I'll make sure they never throw a special attack. It won't be the fastest takedown. It will be probably, I think, 47 to 49,000 points, depending on how consistent you are with your heavy attacks. And special 1 shock is normally the way to go, but not against Bishop because he'll overload, because he'll gain prowess. You don't really want to do that, but like against champs like Sauron, you want a special 1 spam. Although I'd rather use Nimrod for Sauron, but Warlock, generally speaking, is just really, really good. So yeah, I really like Warlock for this mode. And probably Nick Fury is another one of those really great MVPs for me, because he is really tough to kill on defense. It's almost a guaranteed timeout if the person's not using like a crazy good option. And that's normally what I like to do, is draft Nick Fury, because he's a great attacker because he's got the bleed damage, but you can also throw him on defense and pretty much get a guaranteed timeout. And if your matchup's perfect that you have to fight against, it's pretty much a guaranteed round win. That's normally what I do for Nick Fury. I throw him in just a roadblock. Another MVP, I forgot to mention him, has been Bishop. Bishop against Purifying champs is absolutely insane. Kingpin, nuts. Mole Man, nuts. Especially for Safeguard. It's honestly insane. Like, I really like Bishop because he's got multiple avenues to achieve damage. So normally you have the Ooga Booga special 2. I say Ooga Booga because it's so like parry, 5-hit combo, parry, 5-hit combo, special 2, the opponent's dead. It's like so mindless, that hence the Ooga Booga. Those who talk to me in like Vegas Discord know the joke about that, but he also has the special 1 Incinerate aura. So not only does the special 1 have like 69,000 hits, it places an Incinerate aura that has the I believe the duration increase for your prowess that you have. So if we go here down to the special 1, yeah, each prowess consumed by this attack increases the duration of steady release. That's the Incinerate aura. And that Incinerate aura places incinerates on the opponent if you're close to them, kind of like how Mephisto is, or Vision Arcus. And against Purifiers, you could use this to abuse Bishop's ability to deal damage when an opponent purifies a debuff, especially against Kingpin, because when Kingpin purifies a bunch of debuffs, he goes into Overpower. I believe he has to purify 8 Rage or 8 debuffs to get to Overpower. And when he does that, he'll just deal a massive burst of damage to himself. And the Incinerates actually do respectable damage, so he's really good for that. He's got high block proficiency. He's got regen when you convert prowess to regen, which can keep you topped up because your health is super important for scoring. And he forces counters on defense. I just played some dude. He had Red Hulk as his only Incinerate immune and Poison immune champ. And I threw Bishop on defense, and he's like, I guess I gotta use Bishop. So he used, or not Bishop, placed Bishop on defense, he used Red Hulk, and I had Man-Thing left, and Man-Thing was his, or Red Hulk was his Man-Thing counter. I used Man-Thing on attack to counter his Arcus, but I could have thrown that Man-Thing on defense and screwed him. And that's like the power Bishop has, is like he forces counters and forces people to use certain champs for him, and his special 2 is not the easiest thing to dex. It's certainly possible, but if you push him to that and accidentally get hit, like that's a 1-hit KO. I mean, it's probably not like a full-on 1-hit KO, but it's going to deal a lot of damage. And if you're not Incinerate immune, Incinerate's going to take you down. And if you're not Incinerate immune when he throws a special 1, you're just going to have to completely back off. He's definitely an insane character for this mode, and especially for this meta. I think he's amazing for this meta. Normally you want to finish the fight as quickly as possible against Bishop, but Safeguard prolongs it, and it makes him really, really good. So yeah. So looking at my deck, there are only 2 characters that kind of suck for this meta, which is Sorcerer Supreme. I don't use her too much because most of her damage is amplified by like armor breaks. I mean, pretty much it is all amplified by armor breaks. I only have her in this for defense, just to force them to draft something else. I think I used her in attack once to counter a Korg and lost the round. But yeah, she's mainly a defender. Another one of the letdowns in my roster is Odin. I thought he would be fun for the special 2. The special 2 does bypass safeguard, and it does work in a pinch. And I think I've only used Odin to counter like a warlock. And he really isn't that great for this mode. I'm gonna work to finding a better option for safeguard for him. But yeah, I'm gonna work for finding a better option for safeguard to remove him from my deck. But for now, I mean, he's fine. I used him to counter a Havoc and won the round, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, so the MVPs I listed. Couple surprising characters that really caught me off guard is Surfer. This dude at rank 4 absolutely shreds. His secondary damage is nuts. His special 2 secondary damage is really, really strong. I'm taking down characters that I have like no business taking down with him, like Mole Man. Can't think of any other ones, but like generally speaking, if I just need someone who has damage, I'm going to use Silver Surfer. And it feels so weird to say that Silver Surfer has damage, but he, at least at rank 4, he's really strong. He rarely gets banned. I don't think I've ever had anyone ban him. So yeah, he's definitely been awesome for me. He's really easy to use, and you could use your phase to create openings when you convert the cosmic power buff into one of your Fury, combat power rate, or armor buffs. You could use it to create openings, or you could also use it to dex a special that you don't want to dex. I definitely think that's a really fun way to use him. So I definitely think he's a great character for this. He's definitely been one of those surprise characters, in my opinion. Another surprise character, you guys are probably going to laugh at me. It's freaking Super Scroll. This dude forces a counter on defense. They either have to use their Archangel on him, which I normally never ban, or they have to draft a Mystic for him. And I have a bunch of Mystic counters in my roster. And I actually opted to use Super Scroll for a fight or two, and I actually won the round. I'm going to try to find it so I can show you guys. So this might be a little chopped up and edited. Yeah, so I used Super Scroll to counter a Warlock, which I thought was a decently smart idea because Super Scroll gains tons of buffs, and when he's in Cosmic Overload or his Overload receptors, things or whatever, I can't remember exactly what it's called. When you gain 5 receptor buffs, you go into Overload, and when you go into Overload, that means you'll have a power gain as well as those Fury buffs and your utility buffs. So usually that's enough buffs to counter Warlock's Infection. So as you guys see here, that's 46,000 points, which is, I mean, this is probably the best you could play Super Scroll against a Warlock, and 46,000 points is decent. It's not going to always win you a matchup, but if they screw up, like, I don't know what this dude was doing with CGR against Kingpin. Like, anything above 50,000 is perfect. Anything below is, it's still really good. Anything below 45,000 is rougher territory, but anything above it's good. Anything above 50,000 is really good. And Super Scroll, I used him like once or twice on attack, and he worked well here. Okay, so apparently I lied and I didn't use Super Scroll more than once. I thought I used him more. It really felt like I did, but I did throw him on defense a lot. So yeah, he's definitely been one of those surprise characters for me. And another surprise character for me, surprisingly, has been Strife. His shock damage is respectable when you use a special 1. And his burst damage from his heavy attack when you go use your special 1, then let them hit into your miss or whatever, your phase, and then use your heavy attack to interrupt or whatever. The burst damage is really solid, and you could refresh that shock, keep it up the whole fight. And Strife is also super tanky. He has a lot of safety nets, and he also is, he's not like insane on defense, but if you're not using a proper counter, you have to wait out his phase every time he uses his special 1, and that's kind of annoying. It prolongs the fight, and time is super important. So I think he's a really good character to have on your roster, at least for this meta. There's some other metas where he's not that great, but Strife also counters Korg, Killmonger, a couple other characters. So yeah, I definitely think he's really good. Another surprising character is Longshot. This dude is nuts. I'm really glad that Karina's Challenge is part 2, and well, mainly that sparked people's interest in Longshot again, and people remembered and like realized how ridiculous this dude is. I wish mine was awakened. Actually, some people say that his awakened ability makes him worse, but I honestly like his awakened ability. I think it's really solid. Ideally max sig, but yeah, I think it's really good for defense, which is what you'd like to use him for. Well, not, you wouldn't want to use him for it, but you want him to be you want him to have the ability to be a good two-way is what I'm trying to say. So chance to nullify any buff and replace it with bad karma, which is always good, because if you're running high MD, that will could bite the opponent in the butt. But Longshot Special 2 has a Fate Seal, I believe is what it's called. Where's it at? Yeah, Fate Seal. And that's amazing for countering cosmic champs like Cersei, or you can use it to counter Nimrod, who is super annoying. And the incinerate damage will bypass safeguard, and you can get some like 40 to 50 second fights with Longshot. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's absolutely amazing. I think he's amazing for this this mode in general, but this meta, this safeguard meta, he's really good for it because he bypasses it. You could even do special 1 spam with him if they're not bleed immune, although it's probably just safer just to do special 2s only. But yeah, I do want to try out the special 1 spam because that bleed damage is super respectable. So yeah, he's definitely been a surprise for me. So another surprise character who, I mean, I wasn't expecting to use him a lot, and I'm kind of bummed that I haven't been able to use him as much as I would have liked. But a surprise character for countering this meta is one of my favorite champs in the game, if not, at least my number 1 favorite. It's Night Thrasher. He has a disorient on the special 1 that reduces defensive ability accuracy by 50%, and the reason that's useful is safeguards the defensive ability, so there's a 50% chance you will shut down safeguards, so it will allow fights to go faster. Night Thrasher is also a good counter to Mr. Negative, who some people struggle with on attack, or struggle attacking him or whatever, because the reverse controls that come from Delirium. Night Thrasher is also a great MODOK counter. He's also a great Omega Sentinel counter. So yeah, that's why I've kept him on my deck, because when you get to the higher when you get in the higher rankings, you're gonna get people who have Omega Sentinel, because it's just how it goes sometimes. Like I fought some dude who had a 6-star rank 3 Omega Sentinel. I didn't want to fight Omega Sentinel with any other character than Night Thrasher. He's Incinerate immune, and he bypasses her auto block because he's got true accuracy on mediums, heavies, and specials. So yeah, I think he's really good to have for this mode. The immediate true accuracy is amazing. The defensive ability accuracy is amazing for the safeguard meta. So yeah, he's definitely really good for it. There are some characters that I haven't really tested much, and I wanted to, but I just don't think I will have the time to. Hulkbuster is one of them. You normally do like heavy spam with him, and his shock damage is really good. And his special 2, when you power burn the opponent, you deal damage to them, and that will bypass safeguard. I haven't gotten to use him much. I actually haven't drafted him much. I've thrown him on defense a couple of times, and he, I think he got a Mole Man to timeout against him, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I haven't gotten to use him much, and I really wanted to try to use him more, but it is what it is. Another character I have not gotten to use much is Miss Captain Britain. She's one of my favorite characters this year. I think she's really solid. My thought process behind her being useful for safeguard was that you can activate a special 1 and you'll enter psionic mode, and when you're in psionic mode, your basic hits will deal 1500 extra damage on every single hit. That's not modified by any attack or anything, any fury. So yeah, you're just gonna stay in psionic mode, and that way you can utilize the utility that comes with the slow, or you can utilize like the exhaustion if you accidentally get hit, or the weakness on the heavy attack if you accidentally get hit again. But yeah, the extra 1500 damage on every single hit would be super solid, and I think it would be respectable enough to get through some fights. But yeah, I think she has potential for the safeguard meta, but I was not able to test it, and kind of bums me out. Another character I haven't been able to test for the safeguard meta, who I think a lot of people will have used him. So if you guys used him much, please let me know. But it's Apocalypse. I have not gotten to use him much. I used to use him in the Masochism beta, because he hard countered Masochism, and there'd be some fights where I'd time out with Apocalypse because he only has one charge, which is, you know, the thing that sucks with APOC. You can use him to counter mutants, but there are better mutant counters, right? There's Nimrod, there's Sam Cap, there's Warlock, even War Machine's pretty solid for this this meta, the safeguard meta, with a special 1 spam. I just don't know if Apocalypse warrants much of a need for being on a roster, in my opinion, because I've never felt the need to draft him for this. I don't even think I drafted him once in my 24 matches that I did through this beta. So yeah, he's definitely interesting. I could see the case of drafting him solely for defense just because his health pool is so high, especially if yours is rank 4. But there's Nimrod, and Nimrod is pretty prevalent. So yeah, I don't know. He's definitely been interesting. Haven't gotten to use him much. I'd like to know how he is if you guys used him much. A character that I really wanted to try out too is Mordo. His special 2 has a soul barb, and that increases with your attack. It increases as your attack increases. So if you place a special 2 soul barb and then just start charging your heavy, your furies from charging your heavy will immediately increase the soul barb damage. I do think Nimrod, or not, I think Mordo has the ability to counter Nimrod, especially if your Mordo is awakened and decently high sig. All of Nimrod's damage comes from energy damage. All his basic attacks, special attacks, they're all energy damage. And Mordo at max sig has the highest energy resistance in the game. You don't need to be max sig, you just need like sig 20. If you've duped him a couple times naturally, I think he'd be solid for it. So yeah, I definitely think he's got potential for this safeguard meta, but I never got to use him, and I never really draft him because he's really not that not that potent on defense. I only have him just in case that they don't have like a let's say I'm at my last pick, it's pick number 7, and they don't have a champ that counters evade. I'll throw Mordo in and hope that Mystic Dispersion kicks their ass. That's pretty much all he is for me, but I do think he's got potential. I just haven't gotten to use him. Another character I never got to use is Dr. Doom. You guys might laugh at me, but my go-to bans are Dr. Doom, Torch, and Penny. I don't want anything to do with those characters. So I haven't gotten to use many of them. I do know Penny and Torch are really good for the safeguard meta because their damage is secondary. Penny has the special 2 Incinerate, so you do special 1, special 2. You'll probably just melt them. Human Torch is Human Torch. We don't need to talk about him. We know how broken he is. I only have him as a 565, so I don't even have him in my deck, so I immediately ban him the second I see him. I don't want to waste one of my deck slots on a champ I know I'd ban. Dr. Doom is someone I will because he's an ass pain of a defender, and that's why I always ban him. There's a good chance they're going to have Doom, but if they don't, I'll have mine ready to go, and he's annoying as hell to fight on defense. I never got to use him on attack though, so I don't know how strong he is for the safeguard meta. I assume you can do special 2 spam. If any of you guys have used him on attack, let me know. But yeah, he's one of those characters I just never really got to use, so I have no idea how he would be for this meta. That's about it. There's some characters in here that are really solid and kind of, I think, warrant a spot for me to use. Like Falcon, I think, is really great for the safeguard meta. But would I recommend going to rank him solely for this? Probably not. He's useful, he's great. I just don't know if I'd recommend ranking him. There are champs like Nick Fury, Kingpin, Mole Man. Those 3 are way more valuable in my opinion than Falcon, because they're better in other metas as well. I don't think Falcon's going to have much use outside of the safeguard meta. But yeah, I pretty much wanted to get my opinion out there on, my MVPs for the safeguard meta. I think I did 24 matches. 23 of them I won, so I only lost 1. Again, it's a beta. It's really not that big of a deal. Not everyone's pushing. And I think 15 of my 24 matches were clean sweeps, 2-0. Again, you gotta take it with a grain of salt because not everyone's playing, but I think I'm in a good spot to where my roster is, at least for the safeguard meta. We'll go back to the roster so you guys can see again. There are certain champs I'd like to replace, like Sorcerer, although she's ranked 4 and she's a solid defender with Mystic Dispersion. I'd like to replace her with someone better. And then Odin I want to replace, but other than that, I think my roster for the safeguard meta is at a solid point to where I don't have to try to build more for it. I want to look more into power snack counters and buffet counters, just in case those ever pop up. And then, yeah, I think I'm really happy with the way my roster performed. There are certain characters I'd like to get for this mode, like Toad. I think he's absolutely insane. Great defender, really potent attacker. He's definitely going to be really good, but probably ranted a little too long for this video. So if you guys do enjoy this video, let me know. If you guys want more Battlegrounds opinions and stuff, let me know. I'm always down to talk shop with Battlegrounds. It's the next big thing for MCOC, probably the game mode that will get MCOC to last another 4 or 5 years, if they do it right, if the rewards are good. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about this. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Let me know who your MVPs are in the comments. I'm trying to keep this video solely to the safeguard meta, but it's so hard not to think of the big picture and get excited about it. But yeah, so like if you enjoyed, sub if you're new. If you already subbed, you know I love you. See you guys for the next video or stream. Peace out.